ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। व्याप्तिरिस्य निजेन निजेन मनसा पक्षे सपक्षे स्थिति व्यावृत्तश्च विपक्षतोत्त विषये शक्तिर्न वै बाधते। नैवास्ति प्रतिपक्षयुक्तिरतुलं शुद्धं प्रमाणं समे भूयात् तत्त्वविनिर्णयाय भगवान् आनन्दतीर्थो मुनिः। श्रीमदानन्दतीर्थार्य सन्मनस्सरसि भुवि अनुव्याख्याननलिने चञ्चरीकृति मे मनः। सनातनं रूपं युहोपदर्शयन् आनन्दसिन्धुपरितप्रवर्धयन् अन्तस्तमस्तोमहर सराजतां चैतन्यरूपो विदुरन्तोदय। Hare Krishna, welcome you all to the next session of Vedanta Samantaka. So now we have finished the two rays of Vedanta Samantaka. The first ray is about Pramana. So we discussed about, initially we began with the need of Vedanta philosophy and how Vedanta Samantaka fulfills the need. It is a Samantaka. It just keeps giving jewels forever. The jewels of Vedanta, it keeps giving forever. And then we discussed further about epistemology, first to begin with, how to understand what in Vedanta. So for that, pramana is required. So before knowing pramana, you should know how to define pramana. What is the definition of pramana? For that, we started with lakshana, lakshanam. Then after we know what is lakshana, what is alakshana, what is samshaya, then we start with uh, pramana, prameya, pramata, all those things. Then once we properly understood Pramana Shastra, we discussed about which are the different types of Pramanas according to different schools. Who believes what is evidence? Who believes what is Pramana? So once the list of those things are decided, finally it was established that there are only three Pramanas, Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda Pramana. Everything else is a part of this. So at least three Pramanas must be accepted, not more, not less. So we conclude that. Then we saw Pratyaksha Pramana, how there are different levels of Pratyaksha, then different types of Anumana. Finally, the Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana is the only Pramana that works for Atindriya, things which are not conceivable to the senses or not conceivable to logic. For example, we can see a pot, we can see a tube light, we can see a bulb, we can see a stick, all those things can be seen. But uh, there is fire on the hill. We cannot see it. We can just see the smoke. So we can do Anumana. We can analyze that there is probably fire there because in my bathroom, in my kitchen, I have seen smoke and fire together. So that is how we do Anumana. But Anumana also doesn't work for Atindriya things like uh, Atma, Paramatma, Dharma. We cannot feel Dharma, or my senses cannot see that this is a dharmic act. Similarly, by logic, I cannot deduce whether it is dharma or adharma. For that, some higher source of knowledge is required, and Shabda fulfills that. Shabda is of two types. One is Paurushaya and Apaurushaya. Aptavakyam Shabdam. Somebody who is dear to us tells something, that is Shabda. But Aptavakya, we have seen that there are four Purusha doshas. That is, that the people are accustomed to Brahma, Pramada, Vipralipsa, and Karnapata. So because they commit mistakes, they are illusioned, they have propensity to cheat, and their senses are imperfect. Due to all these doshas, whatever they say cannot become pramana, free from defects. So now to solve this problem, It can happen that a person can make statement out of joke. He may be very close friend, but he may say something out of joke, or he may say in a different mood. So all these things, as long as Purusha are there, Purusha is there, all these problems will be there. Whereas with Apurusha, these problems are not there, because Apurusha is not made by a person. They are there since beginning of humanity, and even before in previous kalpas also. So they are Anadi. So the Vedas are Anadi, and their Krama is also fixed. And these Vedas are known to various rishis. And because they are known to various rishis, those rishis are the authorities for the Vedas. So in this way, Vedas are Parama Pramana, and they can be used without any fear of manipulation or fear of individual self problems. So that is why it is established that Apurusha Vedas are Parama Pramanas for these important things, for which senses are not easily, for which the senses don't easily grasp. Now, after knowing the Pramana Shastras, we have understood now how to proceed further. So we moved into Prameya. And initially we started establishing what is Ishvara. Based on the Pramanas, we established who is Ishvara, the Prameya. So there are various things that are seen that in Shastras, different devatas are named Ishvara. So is it some one devata among them, or is it impersonal, or is it all of them? So all those things were seen. So there are various arguments like Mahesha is Maha Isha, he is the greatest of all. Similarly, Indra, if he is coming from Id Dhatu, so he is also the greatest of all. So why don't we consider everyone as great, everyone as top? So that way there will be no confusion. So we have seen how each of these devatas are actually dependent on one supreme, Parabrahma. So they are all dependent on one supreme absolute truth, Parabrahma. So that is why they cannot be considered supreme. Anybody who is dependent cannot be considered. So Supreme Lord alone is independent. And because Supreme Lord alone is independent, he is considered the supreme. But what about the different avatars? God itself has so many avatars. So among those avatars, who is great? So when that question comes, then the concept of Vishesha is explained. Just like there is a Vishesha and a Vishesha Bhava. Silk cloth, you cannot separate the silk and the cloth from them. But just for human dealings, we recognize silk as something different, cloth as something different. This is the concept of Vishesha. Similarly, there is a Vishesha among the different avatars of Lord. It's not that they're different. You cannot separate one avatara from another. They are all Supreme Lord. But each of them is recognized differently conventionally. So that is how we have so many avatars of the Lord. And when we say Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna, he is the Mula Purusha, means on the concept of Vishesha, not on the concept of material up and down. So on the concept of Vishesha, he demonstrates certain more features which are not manifested in other avatars. So this is how carefully we have to handle the concept of Vishesha. Similarly, we discussed one last point about what is the position of Mahalakshmi. So Mahalakshmi is an eternal companion of the Lord. She is never different from him. Wherever the Lord is, she will be there. Even when the final devastation happens, Mahalakshmi will still be with the Lord. So that way you cannot separate them from each other. So she is a part of the Supreme Lord all the time. So that is also one thing that we understood about Mahalakshmi Tattva. And Radha is the Adi Lakshmi. She is also the original form of Lakshmi. And this position of Radha, just like Krishna, his position is unique among the Vishnu Tattvas on the concept of Vishesha. Similarly, Radha's position is also unique on the concept of Vishesha Lakshmi Tattva. We observe that Radha is also one of the names of Mahalakshmi. So it's not a different personality altogether. But sometimes, if such Leelas happen that Mahalakshmi wants to participate in Ras Leela or something like that, it is all the concept of Vishesha that is what we should understand here. So these were the things that we discussed about Ishvara. So Pramana and then Ishvara Prameya. Any doubts till now before we proceed further? Let me
Hare
know if
Krishna,
any doubts are there till now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, when we hear Prabhupada quoting the sloka, Sakti Sakti Matayor Abheda, like
Mhm.
that, So that does not mean that Shakti and Shaktiman are equal. Rather, it means that the Shakti always accompanies the Shaktimata. As we
Yes,
understood
Shakti and
from
Shaktiman are never separated. They are always together with each other. And wherever the Shaktiman is, Shakti follows with the Shaktiman. And that is one important thing to understand. Other important thing is that Shakti is always under the control of Shaktiman. She is not outside the control of Shaktiman. So that is where the Abhedatva comes. It's not that there is physical Abhedatva in as much that it is merged into him.
Mhm. Yes, bro.
Yes. Anything else to ask in this regard?
So yeah, I had one doubt.
Yes.
Uh, Regarding the Vishesha forms of the Lord. So uh, there are different Vishesha forms. So are they different personalities? Because we see in some leelas that Mahavishnu stole some of the children. So Arjuna and Krishna went there, and Mahavishnu told that he wanted to meet Krishna. That's why he did this.
Hmm. So based on the concept of Vishesha that we have defined the Lakshana also of Vishesha. Bheda bhavepi bheda vyavaharam Vishesham. So that is the Lakshana we have defined. So what is the Lakshya and what is the Lakshana in this? Anybody can tell based on the Lakshana that we have discussed. There is a Lakshya, there is a Lakshana. Bheda bhavepi bheda vyavaharam Vishesham. In this sentence, which is the Lakshana and what is the Lakshya? Go Sasnadimatnam. The cow is known by its flap, which is under the neck. Okay, so that is called Sasnadimatnam. So that is one of the things. There may be some other things, but that is an important thing. That is why Sasna Adi. So we'll take only the Sasna. Go Sasnadimatnam Matvam. So in this, what is the Lakshya and what is the Lakshana? Anybody will try?
Share is to identify what cow is, and Lakshana is the dewlap.
Anybody else? Cow itself is the Lakshana, a Lakshya. Cow itself is the Lakshya, and Lakshana is the Devlap, Sasnadimatma. Okay, similarly, Bheda Bhavepi Bheda Vyavaharam Vishesham. This is the Lakshana Vritti that I have done. This is the definition that I have given for Vishesha. So, in this, what is the Lakshya and what is the Lakshana? So which is the Lakshya and which is the Lakshana? Yes? और से ऐसे यथार्थ ज्ञानम प्रमाणम. Yathartha Jnanam Pramanam. So, what is the Lakshana and what is the Lakshya here?
Yatharth Jnana is the Lakshana and Pramana is the Lakshya.
Yes, correct. Yathartha Jnanam is the Lakshanam, Pramana is the Lakshya. So, what we are defining that becomes the Lakshya, and what is the definition that becomes the Lakshya. So, similarly, Bheda Bhavepi Bheda Vyavaharam Vishesham. Bheda Bhave Api. When there is no Bheda, when there is no difference, still we will do a difference. Bheda Bhave Api Bheda Vyavaharam Vishesham. Okay, Vishesha means there is no difference. Still we are going to do some difference on a conventional level. So, like that. So, now in this Bheda Bhavepi Bheda Vyavaharam Vishesham, which is the Vishesha, which is the Visheshana?
Mm.
Yes. Anybody else will try? Just Krishna Prabhu, can you try?
Yes, Prabhu. So if I understood the question correctly, this Veda Bhavepi.
Veda Vyavaharam Vishesham. Veda Bhave. Yes, Prabhu.
Vishesham is the Lakshya.
Ah,
Veda Bhavepi.
Veda Vyavaharam. That sentence is the Visheshanam. Correct. Yes. So now back to your question of even when there is no difference, we are still discriminating. Waste, just like silk and cloth. Silk cloth, when we say silk is not different, cloth is not different. Just for our conventional speaking, we are identifying, oh, this is silk cloth, it's different from cotton cloth, just for the way it appears, just for our usage we are doing. So similarly, when we say the different avatars of the Lord or the avatar is Supreme Lord Krishna, actually there is no difference in them. Okay, so they are always there, and just that for our thing, which example you gave? You gave this thing of what is that? Roshan Prabhu?
Mahavishnu stole some of the children,
Yes,
and then
yes, yes.
Arjuna and Krishna
So
went to.
when Mahavishnu stole the children of the Brahmana and Krishna went there, that is a Leela that is happening, the pastime that is happening. So for that pastime, just conventionally it appears that the two different Vishesha forms are there. But actually, it's not that tattva on the matter of philosophy, they are different entities. Okay, so that is one subtle point we have to identify, understand there. Anything else? Okay, so if nothing else is there, we will move to today's topic. Today is the third Tritiya Kirana, the third ray, Jīva Tattva Nirupana. So we are discussing what is Jīva Tattva. Ata Jīva Nirupyate Tal-lakshanam cha Anu Chaitanyatva. Anu Chaitanyatvam Jīva Lakshanam. You can note down. Anu Chaitanyatvam Jīva Lakshanam. So the Lakshana for Jiva is Anu Chaitanyatvam. So it is minute consciousness. Atomic consciousness. Now the individual soul Jiva shall be defined. The wise affirm that atomic consciousness is the characteristic of the individual soul, as stated in the Shruti. Eshonuratma chetasa vidityavyo yasmin prana panchadha samvivesha. Mundakopanishad 3.1.9. The atomic soul in which the fivefold life air has entered should be understood to be the intellect. It should be understood by the intellect. So now he is giving Shruti Pramanas for his definition. To prove that his definition is genuine, he is giving this Shruti Pramana. So he gives this Mundaka Upanishad Pramana which says, Esho Anuhu Atma Chetasa. It is a minute soul, atomic soul, and which is conscious and which floats in air. Fivefold types of air, Pancha Prana, Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. So in this air, the soul will always be floating. Okay, now the question comes as to what is this soul? Okay, Ishwara, we have discussed everything. So what is this soul? Where it stays? How it looks like? Some details about it we want. So these are the questions, and they are primarily the topic of discussion of the Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, correct? As soon as as soon as Arjuna surrenders to Krishna and agrees to become his disciple, the first thing that Krishna tells about is Sankhya Yoga, or the soul, the Jivatma. So what is the size of the soul? It is in Bhagavad Gita, same thing is in Shvetashvara Upanishad also. Balagra Shatavagasya Shateda Kalpitasya cha Bhago Jivasya Vidneya Sachanantyaya Kalpate. So individual soul is meant for liberation and to be should be understood as having the size conceived as the 100th part of the tip of the hair, again divided by 100. So 10,000 the tip of the hair. tip of the hair itself is small. The tip will be even small because it will have pointed edge. So that point, which is the tip, which is so small, divided into 10,000 parts, is the size of the soul. Okay. So Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidhatati Kaman. This will be referred again, but as of now we'll read it. There is one eternal being among many eternal beings, one sentient being among many sentient beings, the one who brings about the desirable objects. So, clearly at the beginning itself, Radha Damodar Goswami establishes that there are many sentient beings, there are many Atmas, of which one is superior, the others are inferior. So we'll discuss that further more, but you can keep this in mind. ताम पीठगम ये तो यजन्ति विप्रास तेषाम शांति शाश्वती नेतरेशम. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.20. The wise who worship the Supreme Lord, who is situated in the highest abode, attain everlasting peace and not others. So that Supreme Nitya, who is the Supreme Lord, he is different from the Jiva. So this point we have to understand. Why this discussion is coming? Because first of all, soul can't be conceived. There is no logical way to prove. Many people are trying by out of body experience or some other things. So many experiments they are trying to prove the existence of soul. But practically speaking, soul cannot be an object of the senses. And because the soul is not an object of the senses, it's not possible to perceive the soul through the senses. So that is one thing. So the Upanishad, when a person comes to the study of Upanishads or when a person comes to the study of Vedanta, he should learn something which he has not learned before. Okay, every living entity and dead matter, there is a difference between living entity and dead matter. The living entity has consciousness. It feels the pain, it feels the pleasures, it gets the feeling when somebody beats it, it gets the feeling when somebody hurts it. So all those things are there because there is a conscious entity within. So that conscious entity is called soul. That is the point that is here. Now, one of the ideas is that just like some seeds, let's say moog or something like that, some green gram or something, you soak it in water. So once you soak it in water, it goes fat. And once it grows fat, there will be sprouting. And if you put in water, it will grow into a plant and there will be many seeds. So similarly, Parabrahma is one. And that Parabrahma one, when contact with material nature becomes many, is the idea. Okay, according to some. So this illusion, this Maya creates many, whereas actually it's just one. That is the idea. Whereas such statements have actually refuted this. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidatati Kaman. Among all the conscious entities, there is one special conscious entity. So this is to emphasize that Parabrahma is different and Anu Chaitanya Jivas are different. So the living entities are different from the absolute truth. So that is the point that we have to understand here. Therefore, this refutes the theory that Brahman, when perplexed, becomes a single individual soul and everything other than Brahman, the living entities, the Prakriti, the material elements and God are imagined to exist on account of ignorance of Brahman, like a dreamer and things dreamed about, such as chariots. For according to Shruti, the multiple individual souls are eternal and conscious. So, what some people argue is that no, when you dream that there is a chariot, there is an elephant, there is a horse, there are some trees, there is some aeroplanes, or so many things we can dream in ours. But when we wake up, these things actually don't exist in front of us. So like that, these people say is that because it's all Parabrahma, but just because of illusion, we are not able to understand what this Parabrahma is. So we are seeing many. So the only way out of this is to understand that Brahma is the only Satya. But that theory is clearly refuted here, because here it clearly says that the Lord is superior compared to other living entities. So that is the point that is clarified here. Bhagavad Gita 2. Yes, Ojasvi Krishna Prabhu, you had some question before we proceed further.
Yes, Prabhu. My question is regarding this verse from Shvetashvatar Upanishad, this Balagra Shatabhagasya, that one. So it
Yes.
mentions that it's basically it's 1/10,000 the tip of the hair. That is the size of the soul.
Yeah.
And obviously it is not material dimensions, it is a spiritual dimension. So first question is, why is the dimension, sorry, not dimension, the size of the soul mentioned? If one will never be able to see it, then there's no point of mentioning it. And second is, what does this basically mean? Are we really that tiny when we go back to Godhead? Or how does this work? I'm not able to understand that.
So it is difficult to explain the concept of soul. Still, we will try within our capacity. So, when it is mentioned in the Shvetashvara Upanishad, it is not definitely meant to just give you an idea that it's something very small and you should not take it literally. So, that doesn't seem to be the understanding, because Upanishads or Shruti Pramana don't just give things like that. Okay. Here it clearly says that Bala Agra, the tip of the hair, should be divided into 10,000 parts, and that small it is. So how much do we know about the hair tip? We might know about the hair, just like there is a needle. There is a needle tip. It's a needle would be big, but the tip would be much smaller. Actually, point is what is that? How do we define point in geometry? Intersection of two lines is a point. A point is something which doesn't have length, breadth, or thickness. It has no dimension. It is just a location. It doesn't have dimension in itself. So the tip itself has very less dimension. And if it has dimension, then it's a plane. It's not a point. Okay, so yeah, even on microscopic level, the tip of hair could also be considered some level of a plane only. Now, how that is different from the cross section of the hair, that I am not sure, because medically somebody can answer. But considering this, that it is actually a tip, a point, then 10,000 of that is going to be really very small. Something which will not be considered definitely to the senses. What to speak of the objects of the senses? It would be difficult to conceive that. So, else Krishna would have said cross section of the hair. Krishna would have said 10,000 of the hair. He is using the word tip. That specifically could mean that the tip is smaller than the hair, and 10,000 of that. Okay. So, to me, it appears that the instruction of Upanishad may not be just something which is to be said. It definitely could make sense, the calculation part of it. Okay, so that is one thing. And why it is mentioned, to say that, to tell us that it's so sukshma, it's so delicate, that we are by material effort not going to understand it. So the message is given to the scientists that don't try to materially conceive it. It is not going to happen. The only way to know about it is through Shruti, through Shastras, and by following the spiritual master. So that is the point I could understand from this. You want to add something to this? Anybody else want to add something?
I just did a quick chat GPT search and was to know the size of it. And it says it is close to 7 nanometer.
Tip of the hair, is it?
No. The size of the soul. So the tip of the hair, it says, is the human hair thickness is 70 micrometers.
Again, you are saying human hair thickness. So we really don't know. The cross section might be different from the tip. Just like the needle, the cross section of the needle will be bigger, whereas the tip will be smaller because it has to enter the cloth.
Yes, but assuming that this conversation took place between two human beings, so we can take a human hair into consideration.
No, agreed. Human hair itself.
Okay.
When we take a human hair, let's say you have a lot of needles on your head.
Hmm.
So the needles that are on your head, when you cut the needle into half, that diameter will be bigger than the tip of the needle, which is having smaller diameter. Because if that is not smaller, then it would not enter the cloth.
Okay. Okay. Yes, you make sense. Yes, correct.
Yes. So that way, the tip of the hair could be smaller, something which we might not be able to easily conceive.
Yeah, it gives some calculation
Mhm.
using average hair size. So I asked if it can be seen under an electron microscope.
What does it say?
Okay, and it says that technically it's possible, but then ChatGPT is very spiritual. It says Jiva is not material. It's Chit Swarupa.
Yeah.
So
I find it difficult to just dismiss the Shruti statement saying
yes,
that
no. I'm
okay,
not dismissing
no,
it.
I'm not telling from your point of view,
Yeah.
but the Shruti statement, the calculation may mean spirituality, and so the exact calculation may be arthavada or unnecessary. That type of thing may not be there.
Yes, yes.
So
Because this question was there since the time I read the Bhagavad Gita, in which Prabhupada quotes this verse. And since then,
So I tried to put my limited intellect and I tried to deduce that the tip might be smaller than the hair itself. So how small it is, so then 10,000th of it may be much smaller. And because he's Bhagwan, we have seen earlier that Ishvara Pratyaksha is more superior than Yogi Pratyaksha or Ayogi Pratyaksha. So Ishvara's Pratyaksha, when he sees the tip of the hair, he could have seen it smaller than the hair itself.
yeah, which actually, because there are many questions that come to my mind. Obviously, it's not talking about if it's not material, if it's spiritual. And obviously, we have to apply spiritual mathematics, which we are unaware of. So it just adds too many questions to it.
Yeah. So that is one thing there. Then Roshan Prabhu, you have to something to say.
Prabhuji, why can't we just accept the miscalculations? What's the problem? Like, if, I
No,
also.
it is there. We will anyway accept Shruti eventually. But the point here is that somebody may just challenge, no, I will see the tip of the hair in a compound microscope. So why can't I see the this soul in my compound microscope? So that thing. So now this Shruti will be under question. Shvetashvara Upanishad will be under question if somebody questions like that. So that is
We
why
can
we are
directly say
preparing.
that, Prabhuji. We
Huh?
can directly say that soul is not conceivable. It is just the size given.
No, but then what is the point of giving calculation? They could have given 1 lakh tip of the hair or 90,000 the tip of the hair. When it's not conceivable, what was the point in giving actual figures? So it still could mean this. This is one approach to it, that we really know how small. We really don't know where this hair ends. If let's say the hair is this big, I have some way of seeing the hair as this big. Okay, it may not be a cylinder, it may be a cone. So where it exactly ends, we don't know. So that is one way we could think of it. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead.
Prabhuji, the second part of the question, which Ojasvi Prabhu asked, related to does the soul size increase when we go to the spiritual world, or how is it?
Spiritual world is a completely different dimension. So the material spaces and sizes will not work there. So when Gopkumara embraced Krishna, and that time Gopkumara's body was completely spiritual. So now it's the same thing. When in material world, it would be in the region of the heart. There he is embracing Krishna. So that's a completely different, inconceivable dimension. It's aprameya. It's beyond our earthly calculations or world universal calculations.
Okay.
Okay. So this idea that it's all one or it's all many, is it many, is it one, all those things confuse, and because that confusion should not be there, we should understand that it is uh, this nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidagati kaman. So there is one who is different and who satisfies the desires of everyone else. So the individuality and difference is always there, and Shruti has always upheld that thing. Okay. Yes, there are statements like Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, then Tattvamasi, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. Some of these statements do hint at impersonal consciousness, impersonal understanding, or it's all one type of thing. We will see that in the next few sessions. A lot of detailed discussion has happened in future on that. The individual soul has eternal consciousness as a quality, as stated in Shruti, Avinashi va are ayam atma anuchiti dharma Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The individual soul is imperishable and has indestructible attributes. Nahi vidnyatur vidnyater vipralopo vidyate. The consciousness of sentient being is never destroyed. So one more point that is coming up here is that this soul is not destroyed and its consciousness is not destroyed. So Prabhupada says in the purport of 2.12, Ojasvi Krishna Prabhu, I'll come back to you couple of minutes. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul separated by the covering of Maya or illusion will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Authority. Nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state is supported herein. Krishna clearly states herein that in future also the individuality of the soul and others, as is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. The statement of Krishna's is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much, even for the future. The Mayavadis may argue that the individuality spoken of Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in future also. Bhagavad Gita 2.12 purport. So, after hearing these Mahavakyas, one may get confused about whether it's all one or whether each of them is individual or something like that. So, but Krishna, Nachayavana Bhavishyamaha Sarve Vayam Ataparam. From now, everyone will be different. Till now, everyone were different. Going ahead, everyone is different. So, one may question, okay, that is there, but anyway, everyone is anyway different because each one body is different. But Sarvam Kalvidam Brahman. When we understand that it's all absolute truth, that is one, we all are one. This is only till the point of liberation, one may argue. But then Krishna is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita and Krishna is designated as Sri Bhagwan. So when his speaker of Bhagavad Gita designated as Sri Bhagwan is saying this, then his individuality is eternal. It is not going to change because he is Nachaivana Bhavishyama. He is telling even in future also we are not going to get destroyed. So his individuality is not going to destroy. So if we don't accept Krishna's individuality, then Bhagavad Gita has no value because Bhagavad Gita is a message given by Sri Bhagwan, who is a special entity, and so his message will not have value if we don't accept individuality. So this is the point we have to understand here. Yes, Ojasvi Krishna Prabhu, please tell me.
Yes, my question is in page number 66. So it mentions that how the individual soul and the Supreme Lord are different, and how there can exist multiple individual souls. If this is clearly written in the Upanishads, how do the Mayavadis say that that the Jīva and the Lord are the same? Like everything is just Brahman. Like by saying that the differentiation exists in the material world like that, or?
See, the problem, I'll tell you, one problem with who takes up to sannyasa or who renounces the world. One of the indications of renunciation is being fed up with the material world. We are tired with somebody's wife is troubling him, somebody's children are troubling him, somebody's parents would have troubled, some family relatives, or maybe he has eaten things which have caused bad problems to his health and all these things. So, the understanding is that none of these objects of the material world give me happiness. So now, the cause of my suffering is this variety. All these so many different relatives have to handle all these things. Now, when suddenly you start reading the Brahma Sutras, you start reading the Upanishads, you will see, oh, Satyam Jnanam Adam Anantam Brahma. Then it says, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Everything is Brahman and it is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It is absolute truth. It is full of knowledge. It is full of bliss. Oh, that means he doesn't have a wife to take care of. That means this Parabrahma will not have a headache of raising children. He will not have a headache of earning money. So that is when they will not have variety. So naiti, naiti, naiti. This is not there. This is not there. This is not there. In this way, they will start minusing everything and they will say Brahman means absolutely nothing. It's all, it's all Parabrahma. There is no variety in it. It's all one. So when you understand this, that time we will not have any problem. So the Mayavadi philosophy comes out of this frustration, out of naiti, naiti, naiti. Now, having come to that, when they read these Shastras, they have to do Samanvaya. As we told, Shruti cannot be rejected. So on one side, we have these Mahavakyas like Sarvam Khalam Idam Brahman and Tattvamasi. So Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. One who knows Parabrahma is Brahma itself, himself. So all those statements are there. On the other hand, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yovedatapadinam. These Shruti mantras are also there. So you have to do some Samanvaya from it. Either you have to accept this in that context or that in this context. So somehow you have to explain this. So because of the background of that frustration of variety, one is gravitated to explain these things in the context of that. So what they say is that, yes, Nityanam Nityaha, in this material world, all this variety is being provided by Parabrahma and he is eternal. And these varieties exist as long as we are here. Once we go back, then it's all Parabrahma. Once we are liberated, then it's all Parabrahma, then the variety will not be there. So they will explain this in context of that. So that is the understanding we can have. Is it okay, Prabhu?
Oh, okay. Understood. Thank you.
Now, what is this soul? What are its attributes? How does it look like? All those things are discussed here. And it is similar to the process explanation given in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna. That avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam vinam tatam vinasham avyayasya na kaschit kartum arasi. So the individual soul is avinashi, it is indestructible. When all these things are destroyed, when everything is destroyed, the soul itself remains. It is not destructible. So that is the point here. So, okay, if you bring a few vegetables at home, they will be destroyed in 2 days. You have to cook it and finish it off. Otherwise, they will get spoiled. Now, if you bring some grains, they will maybe last for 6 months. They will last for 1 year. If you don't finish within that time, they will be destroyed. Now, you build a house. When you build a house, it will last a little more time. For 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, it will last. Eventually, the house will also be destroyed. So things of this material world, someday they will all be destroyed. The clothes that we bring will be destroyed someday. Similarly, our body will be destroyed. Our body will undergo different transformations: birth, old age, then birth, growth, old age, and all this various transformation. Finally, there is death. So one day the body will also be destroyed. Now, what is that which never gets destroyed? That is the soul. So that is the understanding that we are avinashi to tadvidi. It doesn't get destroyed at any state of time. So that is the important characteristic of this soul. It is imperishable and has indestructible attributes. Nahi vidnyatur vidnyater vipralipo vidyate. The consciousness of the sentient being is never destroyed. Although the atomic individual soul pervades all limbs of the body by the quality of consciousness. Yes. So this soul is not just that it is not destroyed, it has its effect in the body. Either it is an ant body, or it's an elephant body, or it's a human body, it's the body of a big blue whale. Everywhere the consciousness is spread, and that consciousness is an indication that soul is there. Consciousness means I. You get a feeling about I. So that I-ness is there. Only living entities have. Dead matter cannot have that I type of feeling. So that is the symptom of consciousness. So there can be some living entities in whom touch sensitivity may not be there, in whom sight cannot be there. Such living entities also exist. But the I-ness is there. It is always there wherever there is a soul. That is an important thing we should understand here. As stated in the Brahma Sutra 2.3.24, Gunad Valokavat. Because the quality of consciousness pervades the whole body, just like light. Gunatva alokavat. Just like light, just like the sun. When the sun rises, everywhere there is light. Similarly, you switch on the light in your room, everywhere there will be light. Similarly, the whole body will have consciousness. That is explained here. Just like the single sun illuminates the whole world, a single soul illuminates the whole body, or descendant of Bharata. So this is the one single soul which gives light to the whole body. So further in Bhagavad Gita 2.16, I will just go on reading. These are all pramanas from Bhagavad Gita and Shruti. So there is not much to explain. I will go on reading, and wherever relevant, I will explain a little bit. Bhagavad Gita 2.16 says, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Bhagavad Gita 2.16. So, the material body, okay, it is always going to change. You cannot keep it fixed. Similarly, the soul, it is never going to change. It will always be fixed. The people who have studied both, basically the Sankhya philosophers, they have studied the nature of both the soul and the body. The genuine Sankhyaites, not the atheistic Sankhya, the genuine Sankhyaites, they have studied both, and they clearly understand that this body is different and the soul within the body is different. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and the eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. So he is telling Bhagavad Gita 2.18. He is telling that body is surely coming to an end. So whereas the soul is not going to come to an end, because najayate mrite va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuyaha ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanimane sharire. Bhagavad Gita 2.20, it says that for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come to being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So the soul, again, Krishna explains the same concept in different ways, so that you are not able to trap Krishna. That soul, somehow we will make it alive on dead. Soul is having neither birth nor death. It is not that at some point of time soul suddenly appeared. Before that, soul did not exist. That is why to consider that even Lord manufactured the soul at a point of time doesn't seem to make sense, because the soul is eternal since the beginning. Soul does not come into being and will not come into being in future. It's not that new souls will be created at any point of time. That also will not happen. He is unborn, eternal, everlasting, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So these are the different characteristics that the soul has. So some more things about the soul. Okay, if body is destroyed and the soul is not destroyed, then where does the soul go? What happens to the soul? So that we all know. Nainam Chinnat, what is that? Vasamsi Jirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Grunati Naroparani Tata Sharirani Vihaya Jirnani Anyani Sanyati Navani De. It takes new bodies. Even in this life, we see that we had a child body, we have a youth body, and very soon we will have an old age body. So in this life only we have seen how the soul transforms into different bodies. Similarly, at the time of death, the soul leaves this body and takes a different body. As soon as the soul leaves this body, the body will not have any consciousness. Then the soul takes a different body. Now, there is no physical or logical way to prove this, that the soul has left. Once the soul has left the body, where will the soul go next? Where it will be finished? So logically and physically we cannot establish this. Today in this world, they are more concerned about pratyaksha and anumana, which should be seen to us or it should be logically provable. But there are so many things which cannot be seen or which cannot be logically proved. Just like I told you, happiness. I am happy today. How many of you will be able to see it? How many of you will be able to logically prove that I am happy? It's not happening. It's something which is my experience. And I just have to tell you for you to accept it. So similarly, the existence of soul or the soul transmigrating, where it has gone, it is difficult. That is why you see traditional culture, the education, the system, the culture, it naturally brought the consciousness that yes, there is rebirth, there is life after life and all those things. For example, I give astrological guidance to devotees and I am an astrologer. When I study the charts, I see the karmas that people experience. There is a way to see what a person did in his past life and which karmas of the past life have brought this suffering in this life. So some people are really afraid of heights. They don't want to stand on a height. Some people are afraid of water. Naturally, they have this propensity. So where did these propensities come from? So if we study the charts, we will get to know that, oh, this was the fear in their this. Maybe they fell down from top in the past life, or maybe they fell in water. Some people are too stingy to not spend money at all. So all those things we can quite clearly see in their birth charts that they had certain experiences in the last life, which has made a particular nature in this life. So this way, the Vedangas, the different Vedangas can give some knowledge, can give some understanding that, okay, there is something beyond the body and beyond this life. But otherwise, if you want to have practical proof through Pratyaksha and Anumana, that is not going to happen about the soul. Yes. Yeah, Ojasvi Krishna Prabhu, you had raised your hand some time ago.
No, you asked that question that, how can you prove that I'm happy? So, like someone might say, well, we can see you're smiling or you appear to be not like how normal people are behaving, or you have a glow on the face, something of that sort. That can be considered as a refutation. And
Yeah.
regarding the
So, yes, Prabhu, please.
no, okay, no, you can comment. I'll then speak later.
Yeah, that's true. We can say that there is some glow on the face and these things. It is still, what do you say, there is some change which might be physically explained also. But exactly the existence of soul is difficult to derive it from a material platform or where the soul has gone. Now, we recently had the Pitru Paksha, the 15 days where one honors their ancestors. So, the whole concept of Pitru Paksha is on one faith that there is a rebirth or there is soul. If this concept is not accepted, then there would be no reason to pay oblations to the ancestors. So, but when we pay oblations to our ancestors, when we take their names, okay, and we are doing tarpana or when we are doing pinda pradana, all these things, then they will be on a different place, they will be in a different body, and they will be getting the results of this. So definitely the understanding of soul has to be there to for all these things to be understood, and that is through Shruti only it can be understood. That is the only way. Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
You had something else to add also.
Regarding the soul, obviously it makes no sense, but someone might say, oh, I saw the soul going from this body, I see it's gone up to the sky, etc., something like that. And so,
Your voice is breaking. Maybe my connection is unstable. I
no.
don't know.
It can be my issue also. I have some Hare Krishna. It's good to
Yes, now it is better. Please tell me.
Okay, sorry. No, I was saying that someone might say, "Oh, I just saw the soul leaving the body, and I saw it approach the sky." So that can someone might say something like that. So obviously, we'll not believe him because of we discussed that earlier about Shabda Praman. Nothing, just a comment.
Yeah, you see, when Shishupala died or when Bakasura died, when Aghasura died, the people there saw the soul merge into the body of Krishna. Okay, so now such things also have to be explained. It could happen that Krishna gave that special vision for them to be because commonly it's said in the Shruti that by Tarka or by Indriya we cannot understand, through Shastra only we can understand. So it could be that certain yogis are given special vision to see these things.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Anything else to add to this?
Roshan Prabhu had raised his hand.
Yeah, Roshan Prabhu, you had raised your hand sometime ago.
Prabhuji, I was just gonna say a depressed man also laughs. So that we can only see the
Huh?
symptoms of happiness.
Yeah, you can see the symptoms of happiness, but
We don't really know is he happy
it
or
has
not.
to be experienced within. Yeah, correct. Okay. So now there is a slightly different topic that is coming up. So the Bhagavad Gita 15.7 says, Mamaivamsho Jīva Loke Jīva Bhuta Sanatanam Manashashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Okay. Okay, before that, we'll read this. Moreover, the individual soul is different from the gross and subtle body and is divided of 6 essential transformations as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Natma Vabhu Parthivam Indriyani Deva Hyasura Vayu Jalam Utasha Manonna Matram Tishana Cha Sattvam Ahankritakham Kshitir Artha Samyam. The individual soul is not the body made of earth, nor the senses and their controlling deities, nor the vital air, breath, water, or fire, nor the mind, food, intelligence, thought, material ego, earth, ether, earth, sense objects, nor the material nature. The individual soul has neither been born nor will die, nor does it grow or decay. The individual soul is actually the observer of various phases of changeable things. The soul is pure consciousness, eternally imperishable in all circumstances. The various existential states are imagined just as the single vital air is imagined as manifold by the influence of different sense organs. So, person on the material plane, we are accustomed to see things that are material only. So, we are it has to be explained what the soul is. So, negation, the theory of negation is used here, that the soul is neither the space, it is not the air, it is not the breathing, it is not the water, it's not the fire, it's not the mind, it's not the food, not the intelligence. So none of things, even the ego is not the soul. So soul is beyond all these things, something which we cannot conceive, we cannot hold it in hand, we cannot hear it, we cannot smell it, we cannot touch it, or we cannot experience it like that. So soul is something beyond all these things. So the body dies, the body decays, but the soul is pure consciousness, and that is why there is no change for the soul. Just as single vital air is imagined as manifold by the influence of different sense organs. So here the point has to be understood that the sense organs are active because of the influence of prana. The influence of air in the body, this is very in a detail, it's given in the what is that, Mundakopanishad and Chandogyopanishad, there it's given in detail. Prashnopanishad, it is given also, that there is air moving within the body, and this air is activating the senses, due to the activation of senses by the vital air or prana, the senses are working. So there are pancha pranas, that is pranavayu, apanavayu, dhyanavayu, udanavayu, and samanavayu. Each of them have function. The pranavayu gives life in the body. It is actually pulling us to the top, and the apanavayu is pulling us down. So if pranavayu were not there, then what would happen is that we would just be pressed onto the ground by the force of apanavayu. If apanavayu would not be there, then the pranavayu would make us fly in space. So these two airs are balancing and holding us in the place where we are. Similarly, Vyanavayu is Vyapta. It is spread throughout our body, and being spread throughout our body, it is conducting the affairs of the body. Then Udanavayu is in the stomach, and it is used to digest the food. And Samanavayu is between the chest and the stomach. It is for stability of our body. So because all these things are there, that is why we are stable. And our senses are acting because of the force of these life airs. So, but we don't see that. We don't see the airs that are functioning or working. Even if we don't believe in this, that there is a apanavayu which is pulling us down, or there is a pranavayu which is pulling us up, at least we could understand that we are breathing something, and that breathing is keeping us alive. So that breathing of air, we don't see it, but still we understand that that is keeping us alive, and that way we'll understand that it exists. Similarly, for the person who is breathing, there is a consciousness that is keeping him alive. So that consciousness is of the soul. This is how we have to understand that. Furthermore, the individual soul is part of the Supreme Soul, as stated by the Supreme Lord in Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Mamaivamsho Jīva Loke Jīva Bhutas Sanatana. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. So, the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. That is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 15.7. So I will open Bhagavad Gita 15.7. Okay. So purport. In this verse, the identity of the living entity is clearly given. Just a minute. In this verse, the identity of the living entity is clearly given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life and in liberated states becomes one with the Supreme Lord. He is eternally fragmented. It is clearly said, Sanatanaha. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva and the secondary expansions are called living entities. In other words, the Vishnu Tattva is a personal expansion and the living entities are separated expansions. By his personal expansion, he is manifested in various forms like Lord Rama, Nrsimhadeva, Vishnu Murti, and all the predominating deities in the Vaikuntha planets. The separated expansions, the living entities, are eternal servitors. The personal expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead, are always present. Similarly, the separated expansions of living entities have their identities. As fragmental parts and parcels of Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence is one. Every living entity as an individual soul has its personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By the misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul, and by the proper use of independence, he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal as the Supreme Soul is, Supreme Lord is. In his liberated state, he is freed from the material condition and he is under the engagement of transcendental service unto the Lord. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by material modes of nature and he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world. Okay, so there are some more things which are there afterwards, which we will discuss, but some important things here. So living entities, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. Now this thing has to not be misunderstood. What do you mean by part and parcel of the Supreme Lord? Does it mean that when X number of living entities are cut from the Supreme Lord, then is the Supreme Lord and the living entities are not there? That is the understanding? No. The idea is that the relationship is eternal. Lord and the Jivas relationship is eternal. The Jivas are also eternal. Lord is also eternal. And when the living entities are there, the Lord doesn't become less. So one way of understanding is Bimba Pratibimba Vada. Bimba Pratibimba Vada means that the Lord and the living entities, they are reflections of each other. Now the reflections are real reflections, not the artificial reflections said by Mayavadis. What the Mayavadis say is that there are many pots and when the moon is shining, each pot shines a moon. So the actual moon is one, whereas these pots are different pots in which the moon is shining. But that's not the case here. Here the idea is that Lord is one independent and everyone else is dependent on the Lord and has sadrusha, has the qualities of the Lord in minute quantity. So eternity is there in Jīva, eternity is there in Bhagwan, and there is bliss in Bhagwan, there is bliss in Jīva. So all those things are there, whichever are there in Paramatma, they are also there in Jivatma as a reflection. But that simply reflection is meant to simply show dependence and it is not showing that it is false. So the reflection is not out of falsity, it is out of dependence. That is why the word Sanatana is used. Otherwise, if one day they will all be liberated and they will all be one, then Sanatana, the word will not come. Eternity will not come. So when we say Sanatana, we have to explain it. So this is how it can be explained. Okay, now we also have seen that there are different types of srishtis. One is Shuddha Srishti, Paradina Vishesha Vapti Srishti, Jada Srishti. So Shuddha Srishti means the different forms of Vishnu Tattvas. So they are also on the strength of Vishesha, they are also eternal forms, they are also a Supreme Lord only, just that they are attributes, they are different attributes, different Vishesha forms are there. Whereas Jivas are not like that. Jivas are separated living entities which are dependent on the Lord for their perfection. So without Lord, they cannot do anything. So that makes the Jivas different from the Lord. Now, some of these Jivas are liberated, some of them are conditioned. So either in either of these states, the liberated states or the conditioned state. So they have different ways of dealing with the material nature, or dealing with the world, or dealing with God. So one thing is that the conditioned souls, Madhvacharya specifically tells that there are three types of them. Some of them are eligible for liberation. Some of them are eligible to eternally live in this material world, and some of them are destined to go to hell forever. So this is a slightly controversial thought process as to how we can understand it that way, that some entities are eternally going to go to hell. So is Lord so merciful, or is Lord so merciless, and all these things? So one thing we should understand is that there is minute independence in living entity. Prabhupada says minute independence. Minute independence means what? That just like a cow is tied to a rope. When a cow is tied to a rope, the cow cannot move beyond the boundary of the rope, beyond the length of the rope. But cow has some freedom to either graze or sit or sleep or drink water, some freedom within the boundary. Similarly, we are all under complete control. We are not independent. Our senses are controlling us. Our senses are pulling us. The 9 planets are controlling our life, and our grahas. And then the devatas are managing our life. They are providing our necessities. Ultimately, it's the Supreme Lord who is managing. And if we are small children, the parents are controlling us. And the kings and the leaders of the society are controlling us. So we are always under control. We are not independent of control. So despite all these things, there is some minute independence to choose whether we want God or no. We want to go to God or no. That some little decision making has been given. If this little decision making would not have been given, then what would be the point of Shastras? What would be the point of sadhus? What would be the need of God to appear? If it was all programmed that the jivas are automatically going to perfect their lives, then what would be the point of these instructions? So definitely there is some strength given to the jivas to accept the word of Shastras or not accept the word of Shastra. That much is given to the jivas. But at the same time, the problem is that the independence is very minute. What we tend to think that we have supreme independence means the problem with explaining about the concept of independence for jivas is that we think that we are all going back to Godhead. So by coming to Krishna consciousness, by taking initiation, by having beads in our hand, by chanting Hare Krishna, or by practicing some devotional things, we are so confident that at least Prabhuji, we are going back to Godhead. So this word is so easily used among the devotional circles that we should go back to Godhead. We are going go to Golok Vrindavan, or where we will be participating in pastimes of Krishna. So it is not so easy, because purification from material existence, from so many lifetimes of conditioning is there. There's so many lifetimes. The karma is anadi. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma, all of them are anadi, whereas there is anta for karma. Everything else, there is no anta. There is an end for karma, but it's beginningless. So now one karma influences us to tell lies. Another karma influences us to beat somebody. Another karma influences us to speak softly to somebody. So many of the karmas that we have done in our life, they influence our behavior. They influence us to act in a particular way. Similarly, anadi karma, since eternity, it has shaped our character in a way that either we are asuri or we are devi. Okay, it has, that is when divine and demonic natures comes into picture. It has shaped our character from beginningless karma, has shaped us in a particular way. That is why people like Duryodhana, they would never accept Supreme Lord. Although if they had accepted Supreme Lord, would happily grant them pure devotion, but they would never accept, because for them it is like they want to hate. Even if you send people to hell, there also they will increase the hatred to Lord, that it is this person who gave me hellish life, I will increase my hate more. So those who are into hellish existence, they still have a chance that if they surrender to the Lord, perfect their lives, and they can go back to God. But there are some souls who deliberately don't want to use this, or don't want to take shelter of Shastra. So We also have to be very careful that if we are in the association of devotees, if we are chanting Hare Krishna, if we have taken initiation, that doesn't mean a guaranteed ticket. It is ultimately our sadhana which is going to work. So we should really put effort to take association of sadhus, to hear shastras, and to deeply contemplate more on the meaning of shastras, try to understand it more better. So that effort should be there, then only the actual perfection will be there. So this is one point that we have to understand from the Jiva's perspective. Any questions till now? Is it all okay or any doubts? This concept of minute independence. Minute independence means, actually there are some people who are allergic to the use of the word independence, because if independence is granted, then Lord will not have any freedom. Suppose I grant independence to you, then I cannot control you. If I am controlling you, then you are not independent. So that is little there. Okay, so some people are allergic to the use of the word independence that Prabhupada has used. At the same time, you cannot, if everything is God given, if everything is God managed, then what is the point of Shastra? What is the point of explaining it, Acharya? You may say that, okay, some robots have come, some robots are speaking Shastras, some robots are violating Shastra. It's all just going on its own. You could explain that in that way. But it would make more sense when we understand that individual Jiva should put an effort to go towards Shastra, should put an effort to follow the instructions of Shastra. That is when they either progress, or if not accepted, they degrade. That is what 16th chapter says, no? Tasmat Shastra Pramanamte Karya Karya Vyavasthitu. End of 16th chapter is that the divine accept Shastras, the demoniac don't accept Shastras. That is why what is right, what is wrong, you decide based on Shastra. So that individual effort is very much required. Yes, Roshal Prabhu.
Prabhuji, one question of mine was that you said that karma is anadi, that karmas have an end eventually. So my question is, will there be any point of time that all the jivas, all the living entities take shelter of the Supreme Lord and go back home, back to Godhead? Or is it that this world is also eternal and there will be many jivas in this world
So when we
for
say
eternity?
Prakriti is eternal. So we have to also accommodate eternal Prakriti. So that is not going to happen. So how will you explain that? Now just a small patch of something, mud you take, some little mud you take. There are innumerable living entities in that. So many bacteria and so many worms in that small patch. So you can imagine in a city, in a town, in a country, how many living entities, how many souls can be there. So country is a small country compared to universe. So the jivas are unlimited. So it can not happen that it will be empty someday.
So can we not just argue that some souls are destined to be eternally stuck in
So
this
yes,
material
yes,
world?
that is where the problem starts. The problem starts when we say that some souls would have been destined, some souls would have been destined for hellish life. So has God set up this system like that? No. If some of those souls are destined, again the same thing is there is no point in teaching Shastra. So there is some level of ability to choose given to individuals, that let me choose Shastras, let me choose God. There is some level of freedom, there is some level of ability given to Jiva that he can choose. These, because of Anadi Karma, they will not make their choice. Because of the influence of Anadi Karma, some are so sinful, they will not make their choice even when even I told you, even if they go to hell, in hell they are suffering pain, but they will say it is because of God that pain has come. I will fight against the laws of nature more. So even in hell they will do sinful activities. So to continue their perpetual existence there.
So you are saying that it is like an addiction, a negative feedback loop that makes us bound here.
So why we should know about such souls? Because we have to be careful also that anadi karma is influencing. Better keep our sadhana strong.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Any other point to add? Any other question? Mostly we have studied these concepts in Bhagavad Gita. I think it will be a revision type of thing. Okay, now next tomorrow when we meet, we'll discuss about soul is blissful and it is in the body. Why I am suffering? Suffering should be for the nature. So why I am suffering? So those things we will discuss more tomorrow. Okay. Anything else to add before we wind up? Okay, so we'll close for today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I am still stuck in that size part of the soul because in book Elevation to Krishna Consciousness or Towards Krishna, any one of the two books of Prabhupada, Prabhupada has written that soul also have a form, soul also have a hands, legs. That is why our body also looks like this. We have hands and legs. So if soul has hands and legs like our body, so that has to be some size.
So a size is mentioned, no, 10,000 of the tip of the hair.
So can we not just argue that it is very minute, but it is still not conceivable?
Yeah, it is minute, it is not conceivable because of that minuteness, and still it has a shape, it has a form.
But can we give it a unit like 5 angstrom?
No, you cannot give it a unit like 5 angstrom because we cannot give a unit of a tip of a hair. We can give a unit of cross section of a hair, but not the tip. Tip, we don't know really how small it is. Scientists might have discovered something, but maybe with a more strong microscope in future, the tip may be even small.
But we can give tip of the hair a unit because hair is not like to
No,
statement.
that we are able to give a unit because of the strength of the microscope still today. Can you say that in future also this number will not change? Tip is a tip. It can grow even, it can be even more sharp.
Okay, clear, clear.
What is a point? A point is a uh, thing that doesn't have length, breadth, or thickness. That is what we had heard in geometry class, first one. Correct. So you cannot actually draw a point. When you draw a point, is actually a plane that we are drawing on a paper. If you draw a point, and when you put a microscope, it is a plane actually, not a point. So not even a plane, it's a cuboid because it will have some thickness also. So you cannot actually draw a point, but it is some theory that we have explained. So similarly, the point which is the tip of the hair, we never know with the more increased advancement, it can go on becoming smaller. This is my logical, I am trying to explain it. There could be better explanations also than this. Okay then, so we will wind up. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.